In the spring of 2024, a routine parking violation hearing transformed into one of the most viral courtroom moments in recent history. What began as a simple $75 citation ended with handcuffs, millions of views, and a profound lesson about respect, authority, and the consequences of living life through a screen. This is the story of Madison Parker, a 29-year-old social media influencer who made a catastrophic error in judgment, and how that moment became the catalyst for genuine personal transformation. Providence Municipal Court operates with the steady rhythm of civic duty. On this particular Tuesday morning in late April, Judge Frank Caprio presided over his usual docket: traffic violations, minor infractions, and civil disputes. With 38 years on the bench, Judge Caprio had developed a reputation for fairness, tempered with firmness. A jurist who believed in both justice and compassion, but who demanded unwavering respect for the courtroom. At 9:15 a.m., the courtroom doors opened, and Madison Parker entered. What happened next would shock everyone present and eventually captivate millions online. Madison wasn't just carrying a phone, she was absorbed by it. Her eyes remained fixed on the screen as she walked down the aisle, navigating the courtroom with peripheral vision alone. Designer athleisure wear, expensive sneakers, oversized sunglasses perched atop her head, and iced coffee in one hand, and AirPods in her ears completed the picture of someone who had fundamentally misunderstood where she was and what was about to be required of her. To Madison, this was an inconvenience interrupting her day. To everyone else in that courtroom, her behavior was about to become unforgettable. Madison's citation was unremarkable: parking in a residential permit-only zone. The standard fine was $75 plus court costs. For most people, this would be a 5-minute appearance. Apologize, pay the fine, and move on with life. But Madison never put her phone down. As other defendants approached the bench with appropriate deference, Madison remained in the gallery area, scrolling, typing, occasionally smiling at her screen. Court officers noticed but assumed she would pocket her device when called. They had seen distracted defendants before, but nothing quite like this level of complete disconnection. "Madison Parker," the court clerk announced. No response. Madison continued typing. "Madison Parker," the clerk repeated, louder this time. Madison glanced up briefly, registered that people were looking at her, and began walking toward the defendant's stand, still holding her phone, still staring at the screen, still typing. Judge Caprio looked up from his paperwork. His expression shifted immediately. In nearly 4 decades on the bench, he had encountered every variety of courtroom behavior, but he had never seen someone approach his bench while actively scrolling through social media. "Miss Parker," Judge Caprio said, his voice carrying clear authority, "you need to put your phone away immediately." Madison held up one finger, a wait gesture, without looking up from her screen. The courtroom collectively gasped. She had just told a sitting judge to wait. "Ms. Parker," Judge Caprio's voice became more forceful. "Put the phone away now. This is a courtroom, not a coffee shop." Madison finally glanced up, but kept the phone in her hand at waist level, her thumb still moving across the screen. "Yeah, sorry, Your Honor. I'm just finishing something real quick. Just give me like 1 second." She looked back down and continued typing. The silence that followed was absolute. Every person in that courtroom, defendants, attorneys, court staff, watched in disbelief as this young woman told a judge to wait while she finished her social media activity. Judge Caprio's patience had reached its limit. "Miss Parker, this is your final warning. Put that phone away immediately, or you will be held in contempt of court." Madison, still typing, still avoiding eye contact, responded with the words that would destroy her influencer career and result in her immediate arrest. "Your Honor, I'm literally just posting something. It'll take like 2 seconds. Can you just chill for a sec?" The moment those words left her mouth, "Can you just chill for a sec?" the courtroom erupted in gasps, and shocked whispers. What happened next occurred with startling speed. Judge Caprio rose from his bench, his voice cutting through the courtroom with absolute authority. "Bailiff, take Miss Parker into custody immediately. She's in contempt of court." Madison's head snapped up from her phone for the first time, showing genuine attention. "Wait, what?" Court Bailiff Officer Tony Ricci moved swiftly toward her. "Miss Parker, you're under arrest for contempt of court. Put your hands behind your back." "What? No, wait! I was just—" Madison's face showed complete confusion, transitioning rapidly to panic. The phone was still in her hand. Officer Ricci professionally removed the phone from her grip, handed it to another court officer, and guided her hands behind her back to apply handcuffs. "This is insane," Madison protested as the handcuffs clicked into place. "I didn't do anything. All I did was use my phone for like 2 seconds." Judge Caprio remained standing, addressing both Madison and everyone in the courtroom about the gravity of what had just occurred. "Miss Parker, you were warned multiple times to put your phone away. You ignored direct orders from this court. You told a sitting judge to wait while you finished using social media. And you told me to, quote, chill. That is contempt of court, and you are now under arrest." "But, Your Honor," Madison's voice cracked, as the reality of handcuffs and arrest began penetrating her social media bubble. "I have 342,000 followers. I'm an influencer. I was just engaging with my audience." Judge Caprio's response was devastating in its precision. "Miss Parker, I don't care if you have 342 million followers. This is a courtroom. When you walk through those doors, you follow courtroom rules. You show respect for judicial authority. And you certainly don't tell a judge to chill while you finish posting on Instagram." Madison was crying now, mascara beginning to run as Officer Ricci maintained a professional grip on her arm. "This is going to ruin my brand," she sobbed. "Everyone's going to see this." "Good," Judge Caprio said, his tone carrying the weight of teaching a desperately needed lesson. "Maybe it will teach you and everyone watching that there are places in this world where likes and followers mean nothing. Places where you need to put your phone down and show respect. Courtrooms are one of those places." As Officer Ricci escorted Madison toward the holding area, she continued protesting. "Can I at least get my phone back? I need to tell my followers what's happening." "No," Judge Caprio responded firmly. "Your phone will be held as evidence of your contempt. You'll get it back after you've been processed and if you're released on bail." "But, Your Honor, I have sponsored posts scheduled. I have brand partnerships. People are expecting content." "Miss Parker, right now you need to worry about the fact that you're under arrest, not about your content calendar." Judge Caprio then addressed the packed courtroom, which included several people who had recorded the entire incident on their own phones despite court rules against it. "Let this be a lesson to everyone. Your phones do not belong in your hands in a courtroom. Period. If I see another person using a phone during proceedings, I will hold them in contempt as well. This court demands respect and attention. Social media can wait." As Madison was led through the side door toward the holding cells, her sobs echoed through the courtroom. The other defendants waiting their turn immediately and conspicuously put away any phones they had been holding. The message had been received with absolute clarity. Within 30 minutes of Madison's arrest, multiple videos of the incident began circulating on social media. The irony was inescapable. An influencer arrested for using her phone in court had her arrest broadcast across the very platforms she had been trying to access. The videos spread with shocking velocity. Within 2 hours, Madison Parker contempt arrest was trending on Twitter. Within 4 hours, reaction videos from other content creators flooded YouTube and TikTok. Within 6 hours, major news outlets had picked up the story. By evening, the video had been viewed over 3 million times across various platforms. But the views came with devastating consequences for Madison's influencer career. The comment sections were brutal. "This is what happens when your phone is more important than reality." "She told a judge to chill. The audacity." 342K followers and 0 brain cells. Judge Caprio is a legend for this. Finally, someone holding influencers accountable. The real damage, however, came from Madison's brand partnerships. By the end of that first day, she received termination emails from 4 different companies. A fitness apparel company. "We cannot be associated with someone who shows such disrespect for legal authority and judicial proceedings." A beauty subscription service. "Your behavior in court does not align with our brand values. We are terminating our partnership effective immediately." A meal prep delivery service. "Our company promotes responsibility and respect. Your courtroom conduct is incompatible with our mission." A travel booking app. "We've reviewed the viral video of your arrest. We will not be moving forward with our planned campaign." Madison sat in a holding cell for 6 hours before her family posted bail. She was released that evening with strict conditions: a court date for her contempt charge scheduled for 2 weeks later, an order to surrender her phone to court administration until after her hearing, and a stern warning from the magistrate who processed her release that any further disrespect would result in more serious consequences. When Madison finally retrieved her phone after posting bail, she discovered the full extent of her viral infamy. Her arrest video had 5 million views. Her Instagram was flooded with negative comments. She had lost 4,000 followers in 6 hours. Her remaining brand partnerships were in jeopardy, and every major content creator in her niche was making videos condemning her behavior. She attempted damage control, posting a tearful apology video. "Hey guys, so you've probably seen the video from court today. I just want to say that I was having a really stressful morning and I wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't mean any disrespect to Judge Caprio or the court system. I was just overwhelmed and made poor decisions. I'm really sorry and I'm going to learn from this." The apology video was immediately ratioed. Comments pointed out that she was still trying to make this about her content, rather than showing genuine understanding of why her actions were wrong. 2 weeks later, Madison returned to Judge Caprio's courtroom for her contempt hearing. This time, she arrived transformed. Dressed appropriately in conservative business attire, her phone turned off and secured in her purse, maintaining absolute focus on the proceedings. Judge Caprio reviewed her case with the same seriousness he brought to every matter before him. "Miss Parker, you were arrested 2 weeks ago for contempt of court, specifically for repeatedly ignoring direct orders to put away your phone, for telling this court to wait while you finished posting on social media, and for telling a sitting judge to, quote, chill. How do you plead to the contempt charge?" Madison stood with her attorney, a public defender who had coached her extensively on courtroom etiquette. "Guilty, Your Honor. I plead guilty, and I want to apologize not just for my actions, but for my complete lack of understanding about the seriousness and dignity of court proceedings." Judge Caprio studied her carefully. "Miss Parker, do you understand why what you did was contempt of court?" "Yes, Your Honor. I was disrespectful. I ignored your direct orders multiple times. I prioritized social media over showing proper respect for judicial authority. I treated your courtroom like it was just another location for content creation, when it's actually a place where serious legal matters are handled and where respect for the law is paramount." Judge Caprio nodded. "That's a more thoughtful answer than I expected. Miss Parker, tell me what you've learned from this experience." Madison took a deep breath, clearly having reflected extensively on this question. "Your Honor, I've learned that my entire life had become about my phone and my online presence. I was so addicted to social media that I couldn't even put it down in a courtroom. I've learned that there are places and situations where phones don't belong, and where my followers and my content don't matter. Most importantly, I've learned that respect for authority and legal institutions isn't optional. It's fundamental to how society functions. Judge Caprio considered her response carefully. Miss Parker, I'm going to ask you something, and I want a completely honest answer. If you could go back to that morning 2 weeks ago, what would you do differently? Madison's response came quickly, showing genuine reflection. Your Honor, if I could go back, I would leave my phone in my car before even entering the courthouse. I would give you my complete attention. I would show proper respect. And I would understand that a $75 parking ticket is not worth sacrificing my integrity, my reputation, and my freedom. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. Miss Parker, here's my ruling on your contempt charge. You're going to serve 48 hours in county jail. Madison's face showed shock, but she didn't protest. However, Judge Caprio continued, I'm going to suspend that sentence on 2 conditions. First, you will complete 80 hours of community service, specifically working with the Providence court system, helping to educate the public about courtroom etiquette and proper respect for judicial proceedings. Second, you will create a public service announcement video about phone addiction and courtroom respect that will be shown to every defendant in this court system. Do you agree to these conditions? Yes, Your Honor, Madison said immediately. Absolutely. Furthermore, Miss Parker, your original parking ticket fine is $75 plus court costs. That stands. You'll also pay a $500 fine for the contempt charge itself. Your total is $575. You have 30 days to pay. Madison nodded, accepting the financial penalty without complaint. One more thing, Miss Parker, Judge Caprio said. You mentioned you've lost followers and sponsorships because of this incident. Those are natural consequences of your actions, but I want you to understand something. Those losses are not punishment from this court. They're feedback from society telling you that behavior has consequences. Your job now is to rebuild your reputation not through carefully curated Instagram posts, but through genuine changed behavior and authentic accountability. Thank you, Your Honor, Madison said, and for the first time, her voice carried genuine humility, rather than performative contrition. I understand. Over the following months, Madison Parker fulfilled every condition of her sentence with dedication that surprised even her skeptics. She completed her 80 hours of community service, during which she spoke to hundreds of defendants about the importance of putting phones away, respecting courtroom procedures, and understanding that legal proceedings are not content opportunities. She created a powerful public service announcement that went genuinely viral for the right reasons. The video showed her arrest, explained her mistakes with unflinching honesty, and urged others to learn from her errors. The PSA garnered 10 million views and earned praise from legal professionals and educators nationwide. Most significantly, Madison made fundamental changes to her relationship with social media. She reduced her posting frequency dramatically. She became completely transparent with her remaining followers about her mistakes and her journey of growth. She used her platform to discuss phone addiction and the importance of being present in important moments. Her follower count eventually stabilized at 280,000, lower than before but more engaged and more authentic. She gained new sponsorships from companies that valued her redemption story and her willingness to acknowledge mistakes. 6 months after her arrest, Madison was invited back to Judge Caprio's courtroom, not as a defendant, but as a speaker at a court-sponsored event about social media responsibility. Standing at the same spot where she had been arrested, she addressed an audience that included judges, court staff, community members, and young adults. 6 months ago, I stood right here in handcuffs, Madison said, her voice steady and clear. I was arrested because I told Judge Caprio to chill while I finished posting on Instagram. That moment of arrested development, literally, became the moment that forced me to develop as a human being. She gestured to her phone, sitting face down on a nearby table. This device had become more important to me than real human interactions, more important than respecting authority, more important than being present in my own life. It took being arrested in this courtroom to understand that some moments are too important for phones. Court proceedings are one of those moments. So are family dinners, important conversations, and moments of genuine human connection. Judge Caprio, who was present at the event, spoke after Madison's presentation. Miss Parker came into this courtroom 6 months ago as someone who had lost perspective on what matters. She left in handcuffs, but she used that experience to genuinely change. Not just her behavior, but her understanding of respect, responsibility, and being present in important moments. That's what accountability looks like when someone chooses to learn rather than just serve their sentence. The video of Madison's redemption presentation was shared widely, though not as widely as her arrest video. But for Madison, that was perfectly fine. She had learned that viral fame means nothing if it comes from being someone you're ashamed of. And she had learned that the most important audience isn't online followers, but the people right in front of you, demanding your respect and attention. Today, Madison Parker works as a social media consultant with a specific focus, helping other content creators understand boundaries, professional behavior, and the importance of knowing when to put the phone down. She regularly speaks at schools about phone addiction and at legal education events about her experience. Her bio on social media no longer lists her follower count. Instead, it reads, "Former influencer arrested for contempt of court. Now teaching others what I learned the hard way. Put your phone down. The real world matters more." Every time she enters any professional space, whether it's a meeting, a presentation, or even a doctor's appointment, her phone stays in her bag, powered off. Because she learned, in the most humiliating way possible, that some moments demand your full presence and respect. That lesson cost her handcuffs, viral humiliation, lost sponsorships, and 60,000 followers. But it gave her something far more valuable: the ability to be present in her own life, and the understanding that authority commands respect, whether or not it fits your content calendar. Madison's story serves as a powerful reminder in our hyper-connected age. There are moments when the screen in your hand is not the most important thing in the world. There are places where likes, followers, and engagement metrics mean absolutely nothing. And there are authorities, judicial, professional, and moral, that demand and deserve our full attention. The courtroom of Judge Frank Caprio taught Madison Parker what millions of followers never could: that respect is not optional, that accountability is transformative, and that the most meaningful growth often comes from our most humbling moments. In an era when so many of us struggle to put down our devices, Madison's story, from arrest to redemption, offers a cautionary tale and ultimately a hopeful one. It proves that even when we make catastrophic mistakes, even when those mistakes are broadcast to millions, we still have the capacity to learn, to change, and to become better versions of ourselves. The question is whether we'll learn from her experience before we need our own moment of handcuffs and humiliation to get the message. Because, as Judge Caprio made abundantly clear that April morning, some places demand your full presence, your complete respect, and your undivided attention.